After a long winter, something magical always happens when the first warm days finally arrive. Heavy coats begin to disappear, windows open, and suddenly, the world feels a little lighter. In the middle of the 20th century, early spring brought its own kind of fashion revival. Women stepped outside wearing outfits that balanced warmth, comfort, and elegance. Scarves added color, cardigans replaced winter coats, and circle skirts moved gracefully with every step. Today, we're stepping back into that moment in time to explore the charm of vintage women's early spring fashion, a style that remains just as appealing today as it was decades ago. Here at Nostalgia Nook Antiques, we love exploring the thoughtful craftsmanship and timeless design of the past, and vintage fashion is one of the most beautiful examples of that tradition. For much of the 20th century, winter was long and demanding. Homes were colder, travel was slower, and wardrobes were built to handle serious weather. But when early spring arrived, it felt like a celebration. Women didn't simply abandon their winter clothing overnight. Instead, fashion transitioned slowly and gracefully. Heavy coats were replaced with lighter layers, and colors began to brighten. This transitional wardrobe created some of the most charming outfits of the era. Clothing had to be practical for cool mornings and warmer afternoons, but it also reflected a sense of optimism that came with the changing season. That balance between practicality and beauty became the heart of early spring fashion. One of the simplest pieces in a vintage wardrobe was also one of the most versatile: the scarf. Silk scarves were especially popular during the 1940s and 1950s. They could be worn in countless ways, making them a favorite accessory for women who wanted to add personality to their outfits. Some women tied scarves neatly around their necks, creating a classic and polished look. Others wrapped them over their hair, especially on windy spring days or while riding in a convertible. Scarves also allowed women to introduce color into outfits that might otherwise be simple. A neutral cardigan and skirt could instantly become vibrant with the addition of a patterned scarf. It was a small detail, but often the detail people remembered most. Another essential piece of early spring fashion was the cardigan sweater. Cardigans were practical in ways that heavier sweaters and coats were not. They could be buttoned closed during chilly mornings and then opened or removed as the day warmed up. But practicality wasn't the only reason women loved them. Cardigans had a relaxed elegance that fit perfectly with mid-century style. They could be worn over blouses, paired with skirts, or even draped casually over the shoulders. In fact, one of the most iconic looks of the era was a simple cardigan worn with a full skirt and a scarf tied neatly at the neck. The result was a look that felt comfortable, feminine, and effortlessly stylish. Perhaps no garment captured the spirit of mid-century fashion quite like the circle skirt. These skirts were designed from a circular pattern of fabric, which allowed them to flare outward beautifully as the wearer walked or turned. That movement gave circle skirts a lively personality. Whether strolling down a small-town sidewalk or dancing at a local gathering, the skirt seemed to move with a rhythm of its own. Circle skirts were also surprisingly versatile. They could be dressed up with elegant blouses and accessories, or worn casually with sweaters and cardigans. During early spring, they paired perfectly with lighter layers, creating outfits that felt both playful and refined. One reason vintage fashion continues to attract attention is its balance of form and function. Clothing from this era was designed to be worn in real life. Pieces had to be comfortable, adaptable, and durable, yet they were still created with a strong sense of style. Scarves added personality, cardigans offered flexibility, and circle skirts brought movement and charm. Those same qualities make these pieces appealing today. Modern fashion trends may come and go, but these classic elements continue to inspire designers and vintage enthusiasts alike. Early spring has always represented renewal. It's the moment when winter begins to loosen its grip and the promise of warmer days begins to appear. Vintage women's fashion captured that moment beautifully. With simple layers, thoughtful accessories, and graceful silhouettes, women created outfits that were both practical and elegant. If you'd like to explore this timeless style in more detail, you can read the full article at Nostalgia Nook Antiques, where we celebrate vintage fashion, collectibles, and the enduring craftsmanship of the past. And if you enjoy discovering the stories behind classic style, be sure to subscribe for more nostalgic journeys into fashion, culture, and history.